Welcome to CryptoCoins, where we review the best coins for you. How's it going, CryptoCoins family? We just wanted to stop in before this video to tell you that there is a huge giveaway at the end of this interview, so please stay tuned to get a wonderful giveaway prize, completely free, 50 winners. Thank you very much for stopping by, and let's roll the interview. How's it going, my friends? Welcome back to CryptoCoins. My name is Freddie Colton. You all know my lovely co-host CJ Colton, who was hiding in my lap the whole time, and she got me onto this amazing artist that we're going to be talking to today because, as you all know, I mention it a lot, CJ is a big fan of animation, just like her dad. So today we are talking to the amazing Ethan S. Brewerton. Put you down, babe. Now, Ethan is a really interesting artist, as you can see from some of his work right here. These are all uniquely hand-drawn pieces. We've got a robotic one-punch man, all of these amazing facets. And so Ethan is the kind of guy who wanted to take his artistic talents, and you can see here, check out his Twitter, and started the Mecha Chaotic NFT project. Now, this project is very interesting, and of course, I'm going to let Ethan tell you a little bit more about it. I just wanted to go and give him the proper intro because we actually reached out to him because, as you all know, I talk about it all the time as I show you some of his beautiful art. As you all know, I am such a big fan of old school comic books, the sort of beautiful animation style that people don't take the time to do anymore. And so I will let Ethan take this away. Ethan, thank you very much for joining me, dude.
Thank you so much for having us. It means so much that we're here and talking about this, and we just want to share it to as many people as possible, you know?
Absolutely. And I will go ahead and say, behind the scenes, Ethan and I have very honestly been talking between each other for quite a while. We've gotten into such good conversation. So again, I do want to say personally, I find that it's really important that you're the head of this project, but you're such a cool, down-to-earth guy. You know, you're a very interesting, as I was mentioned on my channel, you're a D&D fan, so my audience will love that. I am the biggest D&D fan as well. So basically we're going to jump into, I just showed them a little bit of a photo on the screen cap of what the Mecha Chaotic, you know, what that is. I don't think you were able to see, but I showed your Twitter, showed some of your different art. But tell me, what is your inspiration for making this detailed of art?
So you hit on a few of them. I grew up in the 90s, so all those 90s cartoons, 90s comics, just over the top 90s comic stuff, Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, Greg Capullo, and on top of that, I grew up on a farm, a very small farm, and a farming kind of family. And so I was around a lot of animals and also a lot of heavy machinery. And I was always trying to figure out how things worked. I remember going and watching hay baling and being enamored by how complicated that machinery is. And I was kind of struggling with, after working for about 10 years as a freelance artist, I was struggling with the idea of both what I think is cool and also a little bit of art anxiety of I'm doing things wrong. And so a friend of mine suggested, what would you draw if you weren't sure what the end result would be? And turns out I draw machines when that's the case. And so Mecha Chaotic is comes from this exercise to avoid this anxiety, and it's kind of me just brain vomiting out all these ideas from watching that heavy machinery, trying to build things when I was a kid, and all those 90s cartoons. It's kind of just all mixed together into one thing.
Well, and if I may say, you said something very cool, and this is fully your quote that you told me when talking about creating that art, and I was just so impressed. I was like, how do you do that? I can't even fathom the concept. You're like, well, I draw things, and then I'm like, how does this fit? You kind of said your art is almost in your mind, you think of it mechanically of what is the next thing to do here, essentially.
Yeah, it's I put down one piece and then put down another piece, and eventually it starts looking like something, and then it turns into a creature usually. And that whole experience is kind of the fun, the adventure.
And as we will see a little bit later in this interview, you're going to show us some of your animals. But the cool thing is, kind of as you said, by the way, I find it interesting you found the machinery so interesting, but also grew up around animals. So you now have these that is sort of the Mecha Chaotic, right? Is these mechanized animals. I don't think we've even actually talked so much about that mixture yet, but I think that's really fascinating. What would you say about that?
Yeah, definitely part of like chaos, and like I've always been obsessed with anatomy and stuff like that. So, but on top of that, the part that is really chaotic about Mecha Chaotic is the fact that I don't control the whole thing. My community actually helps me make every single piece that I make. So like I have these live streams on my Discord where people gain points and then they can redeem parts with those points off of a menu. And then I have to incorporate that part into the design as soon as they buy it. So it's kind of this journey where we're trying to figure it out all together. And every single Mecha Chaotic piece that is out there right now was created that way, with the exception of the Roy's.
Which is a beautiful story, by the way, if I may say so. And to the viewers, by the way, you will probably catch me in some of Ethan's live streams, because now, like, I follow his channel. I just swing by every once in a while because I you know, as you all know, I love good art. I love good, like, comic style, just beautifully animated stuff. And obviously I've been jumping by because what he does and what I think is really cool about how he engages with his audience is, as he mentioned, he has these live streams on his Discord. So please definitely go check that out if you're interested, because it is just so fascinating for someone like myself, I'm sure a lot of other people watching that are not artists like yourself, to sit there and watch just the confidence in the different strokes and the way that you do that. And I have to say that's something that, like, you know, I definitely could learn a lot off of, I think, just as the beautiful engagement there.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm a big fan of like collaboration and interaction. So like I'm one of the few artists that I always joke, like I'm one of the few artists that enjoys the backseat arting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you're great at it too. I mean, people are
Thank
literally,
you.
it is so actively people just being like, now put this on there. And it's like, well, how do you want me to put that on there? Like, you never say that, but if I were you, I'd like, how am I supposed to put this part on this thing? Can't you guys use something? But I will also mention, talking about the Roys, to not get off that too much, the Roys and the backstory, what I also love is you have a lot of lore that we're talking behind the scenes, not official, but possibly eventually a lore book, because there's just so much. So I was curious to ask you about where you came up with the idea for all that lore. Like, what made you want to do that?
So we wanted to do that from the beginning because I founded Mecha Chaotic with two of my friends, and the way that we met was actually by playing D&D together for years. And I think anybody who plays D&D will understand like why that I would pick them as like a group to make a project with and to like make a business with. Because I knew that they could collaborate really well with me. And Bonka Rooney, who is our writer, has just been amazing with turning the things that I make into a story. And like we all have a little bit of say in it. And like, I mean, the whole project just across the board is very collaborative. We take ideas from everybody and we kind of spin it into the best. You know, the sum is not equal to its parts. What its parts would add up to. Whatever, you know, the same that I'm saying.
No, and I will say, like I said, I'll be even honest, you know, with the audience. I didn't even ask him to mention that. I do just have to mention to you guys just to say, like, I love the lore. Like, I
thank you.
That's there for people to go check out, because again, this is not only an NFT. Hey, babe, CJ came back to say hello. But this is not only a project. This is not only a project. Like I said, she loves your work, man. She just wants to talk to you. This is the kind of project, seriously though, that you put a lot of time and effort into the art part. But again, you're sort of allowing, and I kind of try to talk to my audience about this. You're allowing collaboration through a couple of different mediums, and so you're kind of saying, well, I'm great at this kind of art, but there's an artist who's a writer, that's my friend, who's going to help me with this, even though you have a say. So I will mention, I think what brings a lot of value to your project is the community collaboration, also though the team. It's not run by one guy. I think too often we'll see in these projects, and you can tell me you think, like, I get a little suspicious if like one guy heads everything. That to me screams rug pull. And I will say, obviously this project is way past that in my head, but at I mean, you have so much of your stuff out and selling, obviously that's not, but my point is, what do you think about that, like, collaborative effort that you do versus other NFT projects that you might look at?
I mean, I'm just making the product that I would want as a consumer. Exactly. And really a lot of that comes down to the experience that you have with the product. And so I very much look at Mecha Chaotic as kind of like a performance art piece, really. And like trying to just generate this experience that's going to be memorable for everybody who's involved or who wants to be involved. And that goes right down to, you can choose the level of engagement that you want to engage with the project. If you just wanted to see it as artwork and that's as far as you wanted to go, perfectly fine with me. And I'd be perfectly happy with anybody who wants to interact with that. But you can go very, very deep. You can go to the level of, you participate in the live streams and help me make that artwork. You can go even deeper and you can go into the lore, and like you can go even deeper into that and just hang out on the Discord and communicate with us. And like you can influence the lore, you can influence the art, you can influence pretty much everything about it. You can influence who I'm engaging with outside of Mecha Chaotic to bring into the project. Because like I said, I love collaboration. And so like that's what's important to me about all this, the whole project.
I love that that's how you put it, by the way. And that to me is what why I like you so much as a guy, is what you said is, it's what I would want as a consumer. You didn't say, well, I want to appease to everyone, because as you as an artist even said, you're fine with backseat, doing backseat art, but at the end of the day, you're still making your own thing. You're kind of still doing it in your own weird, unique way that you kind of make these things. Now, what would you say like your main drive has been as an artist in your career?
So my main drive as an artist is kind of just like, I started out drawing as a way to articulate like what was in my mind, to like be building something or like to get an idea across. And like, it was very much a communication tool that I developed. And so I think that's really what drives me, is like having fun articulating different ideas and different, components of ideas, is really fun for me. On top of, and I think that storytelling really fits into that as well, which is why we're trying to tell so many stories. 'Cause like, that's all I'm trying to do is like tell a story visually, really, when it comes down to it. Even if it's the story of how that piece came to be in real life. So.
Well, that's great. I love that. And you're right. I think all of art really is a story. You know what I mean? There's a way to say what we're doing is a story. Everything's a story in some sense. So the fact that you take that care and time, again, shows the love that this project has, which is immediately why I jumped on this one. I was just so excited to talk to you about it. Again, I sent your stuff to all of my friends. Like I've been sending all these DMs and stuff, because I'm like, man, you guys got to jump on these pieces, because they're amazing. Like, to own some of your pieces that I would want to use in my like campaigns or like online as like being like, oh, here's the monster that you're fighting. That'd be so amazing to make a homebrew of some of those. Now, obviously we got to discuss a little bit of the business aspect of things. So tell me a little bit more about the minting, because that was actually something I loved that you do. I think you have a very unique process going in, but I'm going to kind of let you take over on that.
Sure. So to begin with, Mecha Chaotic was launched as a series of a wide variety of types of NFTs. So we had like one of ones, and we also had as big of edition sizes as 110 out of 110. But what we're moving towards with Mecha Chaotic Bedlam is a generative project. And the way that we're going to be generating them is going to be an interactive process where you can influence the way that your mint looks. And so to show that, I'm going to start sharing my screen.
Absolutely. All right, my friends, I apologize for the cut in the middle of the interview. My computer crashed trying to handle things. So we will now continue with Ethan explaining what's going on with Bedlam. Continue, man.
All right, so here's how the process is going to work, the minting process. So first you mint, right? And what you're going to mint is actually what we call a Bedlam fragment token. And there's going to be a narrative that's coming out tomorrow, so Monday, where you'll learn exactly what this fragment token means in the narrative. And within that fragment token are symbols of power. These are the properties, these will be properties of the fragment token, and these are what you're going to be using to influence your mint in the end, the actual finished artwork. And so first you're going to mint this fragment token. Then you're going to have a window of time that you're going to be able to trade these. So we have 5 different symbols of power. We have Apex, Beast, Chaos, Corrupted, and Domination. And you're going to be able to seek out whichever kinds you want. So like, say you get a fragment token and you have mostly Beast, but you really want an Apex, you could sell your Beast fragment and buy an Apex from somebody else, or just set up a straight up trade. Or heck, maybe you just want to go out there and you just want to buy up fragments that have those tokens and just get more and more mints. That there'll be opportunity for that. So after that trading window is over, you're going to go to our website.
Real quick, if I'm a collector, I can then essentially, if I like one type, I can collect a lot of that one type pretty easily then.
Yeah, exactly. Assuming that somebody's willing to part with it.
Right, of course. Yeah.
And so once you have all of your fragments and the trading segment is over of our mint, you're going to be able to go to our website, and the website is going to bring all of your symbols of power into an inventory. And so this won't be exactly what it looks like, but this is just to give you like a visual idea, try to make it as simple as possible for understanding purposes. And then with that inventory, you're going to be approached with a summoning circle. In each of these orange spots here, you're going to be placing one of your symbols of power per mint that you have. So each mint is going to take 5 symbols of power, and you can arrange them however you want given your inventory. So if you really liked Chaos and you had 5 Chaos symbols of power, you could put all Chaos as your arrangement. And then your subsequent artwork is going to be heavily weighted towards Chaos. And what that means, we'll get to in a little bit, but I want to go through this process before we complicate it a little bit more. So once you have put in all of your symbols of power, there will be a small transaction fee to update your fragment token with this data, and also with a placeholder image. So you lock in your image, and you get that placeholder image on your fragment token. And then there's going to be a window of time where our generator is going to be at work putting together your PFP, your ending image based on the data that you provided, the arrangement of your symbol the arrangement of your symbols of power on your summoning circle. And then after that amount of time is going to be your reveal. And this is an example of one of our basic corrupted themed Bedlam mints. And I wanted to go through and show you some examples so that you have some idea of like what kinds of things you might be able to see with your the results of your symbols of power of your summoning circle. So first we have the corrupted, and these are kind of your more otherworldly, like demonic kind of influenced creatures.
Now, real quick, because we didn't touch on this, I know, but I'm going to
Sure.
ask for the audience. Well,
No, please
these
do.
are all very well done, but they're randomly generated. Did you draw these yourself?
Yes, I drew all the components, and then they get randomized through a generator. And so like a normal generative project has like a base, so like an ape or like a cat or a dog or whatever it happens to be. But for ours, we don't have that. And you're about to see what I mean by that, if that's at all confusing.
No, absolutely. Just wanted to make sure to touch on that to explain
I
to
appreciate
everyone.
that.
These are all hand-drawn. They're beautiful. So yeah, please. So
Thank
we're
you.
at Corrupt.
Yep, so this is corrupted. And then, as you can see, this is a beast symbol of power themed piece. And you can see that it's quite different. And then we have chaos, much different again. You also might notice that with each theme, there is a different color scheme. And so it's not like other projects where you're just going to get a mix match of different colors because you got different traits. All of our traits are going to be colored in all the different ways. So whatever is most abundant on your creature is going to be the color scheme that you get back. So that's another thing that you can influence with your symbols of power. And then we continue on to have Apex here, which is more draconic. more dragon-y, dinosaur-y kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And then we finally have dominance, which is more robotic looking. And then I also have another example of dominance, which is a little bit more robotic to show you. And I do want to point out that I do want to stress that these are like the basic models, the types that we are expecting to be like the floor of our project, and they only get crazier from here.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, as I showed on OpenSea, and anyone who's watching can see some of your work, as well as we kind of mentioned the Roys, which there's quite a fun little history behind those. But for those viewing who want to check those out, that's a little bit different style of work that he does as well. So those are a lot rarer, and you technically need to get a Roy have one of the NFTs, one of the Mecha Chaotic NFTs. So just putting that out there as well. I am very on the hunt for a Roy eventually, but I think they're just so much fun. It was kind of like, I believe a Roy would be the platypus Rick, correct?
Yeah. So to a little point of correction there. I don't actually draw the Roys. They're based on a drawing that I did, but my good friend Walter Osley, who's also coloring Bedlam, is the one who makes them all.
There you go. Absolutely.
Yeah, and the only way that you can get them.
Collaboration.
Exactly. Like, so when we came up with the concept for the Roys, I knew that I could do them, but I knew that Walter could do a better job. Mm-hmm. So I reached out to him, and I wanted to bring him to NFTs anyway. So I was like, "Hey, dude, do you want to draw these cool platypus characters?" And he was like, "I'm in. I don't even know what this is for, but yeah, I'm totally in." So we brought him in very early on, and yeah.
That's awesome. I just want to touch on those as well, but yeah, these are really great. I love the detail. That's what I think really sets you apart, is that, you know, a lot of these randomly generated things, like you said, it's going to be pixelated, or it's going to have this specific look to it. But yours, like you said, these are sort of the base models, so they might look a little similar in some aspects, but I can also promise on behalf of someone who sat and looked through, there is, well, you could probably tell me how many, do you know how many, like, different parts? I think we discussed this, like different randomly generated parts there could be.
Yeah, so currently we have about 160 traits, but we are adding a few more as we go on for various reasons. Yeah, like this generative project is just, when I started seeing generative projects, I was like, oh, you know, I wonder why they don't do X or Y. Right. And I was talking to my friend Walter, who had been a programmer for about 10 years before becoming an illustrator. Mm-hmm. And I was like, hey, like, how difficult do you think that this would be? And he was like, I think I could actually make that generator. And that's what started Mecha Chaotic, was like, how far can we push this? I don't know. We'll find out.
Absolutely.
And we had a ton of fun doing it.
I think that's wonderful, dude. You know, and I will definitely say, as I was mentioning, you know, please, if, you know, anyone listening, please just check out this project at the very least. I will say, you know, as I always mention, this is not financial advice on my part, but I am investing. I have already like let Ethan know I'm so interested. Obviously in the video I've told you guys, but I'm so interested in this project. As you guys know, I'm kind of trying to expand my NFT art collection to some interesting stuff, so I'm very excited to jump in on this project, to be completely honest with you. But were there any other notes that you might have, Ethan, that you don't feel we touched on enough, or you'd like to get out there in last minute plugs?
Yeah, so I think that we should, I mean, to that end, I think we should touch on how you actually get into the project. Absolutely. Which is the easiest way is to win a whitelist off of one of the contests that we're running. But if you have some liquidity, then the easiest way is to buy into phase 1, which is everything that's up on Mecha Chaotic's OpenSea right now. When you buy into Mecha Chaotic phase 1, you'll get not only a free mint per phase 1 that you have, but also you'll be included on the whitelist to get an additional 3. Those you will have to pay for. But not only that, but phase 1 NFTs provide you more symbols of power per mint. So if you, and that's going to be based on the rarity. So we have a few different types. And so because we have 110 out of 110 all the way up to 1 of 1s. And so you can get between 7 and 10 symbols of power per mint based on your phase 1 piece. So that's one of the ways that you can guarantee that you'll get a spot in the mint.
And I will say, your group as well, I don't think I touched enough on the fact that you give a lot away. You guys are very great about your audience. You hold a lot of contests. I would say, I don't want to speak for you, it looks like weekly, if not more. Just to,
daily.
Daily. There you go. I was gonna say, because I'm on your page. I see it's going on all the time. So that's the thing. They're always holding contests. They have this wonderful thing called the Thunderdome, where you can essentially enter to win a whitelist spot. Correct?
Yep.
In the Thunderdome.
Correct.
And it is hilarious. It's a beautiful old school, as I talk about. I've done a couple videos. It's a beautiful old school text-based style game that is just never played anymore. And so again, that's one thing that I love about Ethan and the crew is, he and I have just been talking for so long because we just really get along in the fact that we are both absolute nerds who love the real nerdy stuff, the real geeky things. So I will say that definitely, in regards to actually, investing in this project, the other thing is, you notice they want to give away the first mint free. Like, they want to do these things. If they didn't want to, they would not. Let me be clear. And that's why, I want to touch on that as well, because for them to be clear, like, to give away free minting is not exactly beneficial for a business. It is more beneficial because they love their audience. So I will just put that one out there as well, because I think that people get the wrong idea that the minting process is this. I hear some people thinking that it's this, overblown thing, and I promise you, they are taking money out of their own pockets to allow that to happen for you, like a lot. So I do put that out there to say that this project is, again, the entire project is just an upright team. I've gotten to talk to everyone on the team. All the people handle the business stuff for him as well. No one is, as he mentioned, it is a lot of old D&D friends. It's all real people. No one feels stuck up. I never had any trouble talking or communicating with anyone. And in fact, I will say I have been the biggest problem. When we first recorded this interview yesterday, my whole system crashed and I had to reset all of OBS, which I mentioned in one of my last videos, that so apologizing for my OBS, but that's kind of what happened. It was fully on me. So I will also thank Ethan for his amazing patience in that regard.
Hey, tech issues happen. I totally understand. Like, it's happened to me before. I get it.
Absolutely. Well, was there anything else that we should touch on, you think?
Yeah, so there is one last thing that I've kind of been saving for the end.
Yeah.
Not only do we have this Bedlam Mint as part of phase 2, and not only will we be going back to putting out weekly drops, but also we have a game coming around the end of the year or sooner that is going to interact with your NFTs, your Mecha Chaotic NFTs. Mm-hmm. And what we're saying right now, the information that we're able to release right now, that's not going to get me in trouble with the marketing, is that you will be able to affect your NFTs, and your NFTs will affect the game. So it'll be a way to differentiate your NFT from somebody else's if it's part of an edition, or if it's part of Bedlam. And I think that's something that I'm very excited about for sure. And the visuals of the game are very retro, and I'm just super into it.
So without telling me too much, for a potential investor though, does that mean if I buy an NFT based on one of the factions, that my faction will change the way that my character plays at all?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Our the way that we've been statting out the creatures has been actually based on the different factions. So they all have their strengths, weaknesses, middle goodness, I guess. Middle effectiveness. Right. And I wish that I could say more. And every time that I talk about this, I have to be very careful.
Absolutely.
But it's going to be the first building block of our game that we're going to release by the end of the year or around the end of the year or sooner. And we want to build it into something much bigger. So when it first comes out, it'll be single player, like a PvE experience. And by the way, you don't need the NFTs to play the game. Just if you own the NFTs, it'll enhance your NFTs and enhance your gameplay, because we want people to be able to test things out before investing, because that's important to us. And we don't want to have a gotcha moment. It's just So we want people to be able to play around before investing if they wanted to.
That is great to know. Well, I will promise my audience that I am definitely going to be keeping up with Ethan for a couple of other things, but I will make sure to bother him as much as I can to be one of the first people to be able to play the game. I promise you all that. I will keep on his back to make sure I get to get some exclusive footage for you guys to see what that's like down the road, probably especially on my gaming channel doing some live streaming. Because that's very fun, man. I love that you're kind of making the different factions something that there's an effect in the end, right? It could, it will matter. So that's why I say I'm the kind of person when I play a game like Pokemon will say, I like to play a lot of times like a fire-based team, right? Or something like that.
Right.
So obviously these are different in that regard, but it's good for those collectors who might want to just stick, one faction might stick with them, right? One type. So, I think especially based off the designs, you can sort of gather without me even really knowing about the game, you can kind of gather what these might be good at as characters, and I think that myself, just having looked at them, because as you mentioned, like, you got all these different types. I'm not going to go farther than that because I don't know, but I'll speculate there, and we will again cut it there for marketing purposes. We don't want to reveal too much because, like I said, I don't know though, to be fair. But
I appreciate the speculation.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting. Like I said, I love that I was curious because I do love you have those different factions and stuff. But yeah, that's a lot of fun, man. I'm definitely gonna be keeping in touch about the game for sure. Are there? Now that we're mentioning all these things, are there any other amazing upcoming things you want to reveal?
I think the last thing is that we're actually offering your community some whitelist spots.
What?
So the first 50 people that come into our Discord and say that they're from Freddy,
all right,
are going to get a whitelist spot. So
hear that, people? Keep that in mind, my friends. Yes, that is right. Ethan was nice enough to offer 50 whitelist spots, which is unbelievable. People who want to just go in, and I'll post his Discord in the description of the video as well. Obviously, I'll make sure it's all your links are there. But yes, keep that in mind, my friends. Go to Discord, bother them, and again, check out some of the live streams. I think, are you streaming every day live? It looks like pretty much every day.
Most days, yeah. My community is always like, you should keep a schedule of these things. And we have 2 scheduled streams every week, but then there's ones that I just get a whim and I just go, and we go to other servers. We call those raids, and we do derivatives of their work. And like, it's just a lot of fun. Like, we get to learn about other projects that way and like introduce other projects to us. And like, it's just great networking, and it's just a lot of fun to work, like, to collaborate with an artist in another community.
Well, and that's another thing I don't think we touched on enough, but yeah, as you mentioned, you are going in and making NFTs based around other NFT projects. So you're so collaborative, you don't even see other NFTs as competition, yet potential friends, really.
Exactly.
And that's the mentality I think that we should really wrap it up on, is that is the Mecha Chaotic, just the team and what their goal seems to be. It seems to be, a lot of businesses, I always say, need to have good core values, and it seems that your core values, no one is an enemy. Literally every other NFT should be, every NFT is like, well, they're bad. You're like, no, let's make an NFT based on their thing. Come on, everyone. Like, let me bring my community to their server and get them some love and recognition, because I like that. So I think that that's definitely something, again, just shows a lot about your character and a lot about who you are. But dude, again, I'm so appreciative we talked. As I mentioned, we'll probably be collaborating in the future, to the audience, if you're curious. So you'll see more of Ethan, but this is just a really great experience for me to get to interview him on camera, discuss with you all, who this guy actually is. And maybe for some of your followers, it might shed a little bit of light for them as well.
Yeah, this has been a great experience. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, did you want to close out on any last minute notes? Again, I'll have all your stuff in the description for links and stuff.
I just really want to thank my team for being, awesome and helping me put this all together, and like just being down for my craziness, because I have a lot. I mean, chaos is in the project name because of me.
Yes.
And they're always, trying to help me make everything, as trying to help me manage that chaos, I suppose, but in a helpful way and a fun way.
Yeah, and you have a great team. No, I met all the team. They are great. But yes, as always, my friends, thank you for coming by, CryptoCoins. I know this was a long one, but it was a very fun one. I think this is one of my more engaging videos. I'm so glad I got to talk to Ethan. As I mentioned, go check out his stuff. We'll put it in the description. Get that whitelist. I mean, that is a huge deal, by the way. That is like the biggest thing anyone's ever offered this channel anyway. So I thank you all very much for coming by, and we will see you in the next video.